What do ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, the Bible, the Quran, Upanishads, the Vedas, and other spiritual texts all talk about or depict through imagery, using hands for healing, either physical healing, psychological healing? This method comes up time and time again. So with all this history under its belt, I figured, of course, why not see what this whole world is about? What is the world of energy healing, putting your hands on people? What is this about? Why has it been around for so long? For anyone tuning into the show for the first time, I'm Stephanie Postles, CEO of a media company called Mission.org. And on this show, I cover all things business, tech, entrepreneurship, and transcendent leadership. And when I say transcendent, I mean going past the normal leadership and business concepts, but really into the mind, body, spirit, and seeing how to really excel at this thing called life and entrepreneurship. Much of the things that I do on this show are self-experimentation, and then I pull you along on the journey and give you the insights that I found through the self-experimentation. So when I say self-experimentation, that's exactly what I was doing here in this episode, talking about energy healing and putting your hands on people, or people putting their hands on you to help heal, ailments or blockages in your life. So this stuff, because it's so ancient and it's modern, this is why I was on a mission to explore this exact topic. Now, with this experiment, I will say that I put my whole body into, let's just call it an upgrade. I'm still coming out of it right now. It put me into a whole full-blown, we'll talk about it later, but we'll just call it an upgrade just because of this experiment. So back to what this is, energy healing. So when thinking about energy healing, it's really about working with energy in the body. And a lot of people, when they hear about this, they might have also heard the term chakras. And many of you maybe have heard you have 7 main chakras, which I knew going into this, but I maybe didn't exactly know what are these chakras, what do they do, and how do I think about them? And I, of course, love problem solution formats. So my first thought was, okay, well, show me the chakra of where maybe something's coming up in my life, and I'll see what to do. And so if I go through the chakras for anyone who is not familiar, which I was not familiar with all of them, the first one starts on your crown up here, and that's your crown chakras, right above your head, top of your head, if anyone can't see where I'm pointing. And that one is really about, spirituality, knowing who you are. Are you connected with something higher than yourself? And you just know that you have support from whoever you believe in, God, universe, spirit, your ancestors. You just know that you are tapped in and that you can ask for help and guidance, and you're constantly connected to something higher. So that's your crown chakra. Then you move down to your third eye, right in the middle of your forehead, which is also, people call it the pineal gland. And that's all about, can you see the unseen, that intuitive nature, very open-minded, and you can really just see the bigger picture and trust in what you're seeing without having to be told. So that's your third eye. Then you've got your throat chakra, which is all about self-expression. Are you following your dreams? Are you actually saying what you want to say? Are you doing the things that you want to do? Are you putting yourself out there and trusting that your self-expression is really going to benefit you in life? Or are you holding back? Are you not saying what you want to say? That's your throat chakra. Then you've got your heart chakra, which is what it sounds like. It's all about love and compassion and forgiveness. Move down a little bit farther into kind of like your gut area, your solar plexus. That's all about self-esteem and, can you use your gut to make decisions? That's a lot where your personality's at. Moving even farther down into your stomach, you've got your sacral chakra, which is all about creativity and relationships, money, power. That's the big one down there, the sacral chakra, big to me at least, that I think can drive a lot of areas in life that you don't even realize are happening. And then the last one's farther down, your root chakra. Are you grounded with your family, where you're at, your location, your house? Do you feel safe and secure and grounded into the earth? So those are the 7 chakras. And what came up for me in this space was someone offered me a session with someone who could do a chakra clearing, which, me, I'm like, I'm open. I will try. Sure. What does that entail? So this woman was in Australia. It was a Zoom session. And the first thing we do after a meditation is she's putting her hands over the screen, scanning my whole body over and over and over. And we start walking through specific chakras and just seeing, where am I open? Where am I closed? And it was really interesting because many of the things that she was saying, I was like, yep, that's true. Or yeah, that's definitely true. So she was saying, okay, you're very open to universe, source, spirit. You can tell you're very open to that, very intuitive. You can see the unseen. She gets down to my throat chakra and she's like, this woman knows nothing about me. She says, you need to stop ruminating on your ideas. You need to get them out there, birth your ideas into reality. Because right now what I'm seeing is that you have all these things bubbling and you are nervous to put them out there. You're waiting until they're perfect. And she said, you need to get the critic out of the creative process, which to me, I'm like, that should be advice for everyone. Get the critic out of the creative process. They don't need to be there. Like as you're in that stage thinking of what you want to build and make and what it's going to look like, how often are we critiquing our ideas before they even move out into the world? So that one I thought, that's just good general advice right there. You don't know anything about me, but that's definitely true. So yeah, getting the critic out of the room. And then the other thing was launching something, whatever that might be, that new product, company, piece of art, whatever it is, launch it and then refine it afterwards. And she said, I'd been in this state of just holding on to things until they're perfect. And she's like, you won't know until you launch it and then you can refine it and make it perfect afterwards. So that one definitely hit home for me. That was in the throat chakra, which is all about, are you authentically putting out the things that you want? Are you being the highest version of yourself and putting the projects out there that you want to? Which for me was actually a no. So then moving down through the other ones, many of them, the energy was flowing, which is what, when thinking about these different chakras, it's all about, is the energy flowing well throughout your body? Or are there any areas where maybe it's lacking energy? I wouldn't want to call it a blockage. Many people do call it blockages, but is there an area that just needs more spirit energy in that spot? Are there other things that you need to do to work with that space to get it flowing better and to activate it better? So moving down, we've got the heart chakra, which she's like, yep, that one looks pretty fine to me. The solar plexus, I think she said was fine, but then gets down to the sacral, which was another big one for me because I think it also resonates with a lot of people. And it was all around forgiveness of others, forgiveness of self. And are you able to move on and essentially know that the past happened for a reason? The past was exactly how it needed to be. And everything that came up was supposed to come up. And how you handled it was exactly how you're supposed to handle it. And so can you not only forgive that version of you back then, but can you also love and embrace whatever it is that you're still kind of holding on to? Because that is holding you back from moving into this next stage. Everything is all around waiting, but you need to match that frequency and you need to be in that place to then be able to accept that into your life as well. And so when she said that, I was like, yeah, wow, yes, facts, accurate. But what was so cool when she was going through these was that my first thought was like, okay, you tell me, there's so much information, hearing this stuff. How do I solve it? And the solutions to working with this are so easy because many of them are just based on mantras and feelings. You have a specific mantra and then you bring a feeling to it to match what you're looking for. So for me, some of the mantras that she gave to me were, okay, if you have, your sacral area is needs to be activated a bit and you need to have, basically for me, it was a lot about fear. There's a lot of fear in that area, fear of moving on, fear of moving forward, fear of, grabbing onto the big things that you're going after. For me, it was all about worthiness, which once again, I'm like, man, how many people in my life have a worthiness thing going on of like, am I worthy of this big thing, this life, this relationship, whatever. And so the mantras were really simple in this space of just, I am so worthy. I am so deserving. Like I appreciate being so fulfilled creatively and I'm so happy. So just simple mantras like that to be able to work with that space. But the one big thing she did say was when you're having these mantras, you have to step into that energy. You have to move into that as if you feel it fully in your body. Your body actually has to believe what you're saying. And I know I've talked about this on previous episodes when talking about manifesting and how people can maybe get it wrong or maybe, what you might want to bring to it when it's not just words, it's not just thinking, it's not just ideas. Like you have to have an energy force behind it. And that was what she also confirmed of like, when you're doing these mantras, like get that feeling in your body, embody that mantra, really have it go all the way through you as you're saying it, and do it multiple times throughout the day. And so when it comes to thinking about this world of energy healing and moving energy throughout, the cool thing to me was thinking, if there's an area that feels blocked, maybe it's relationship, maybe it's, forgiveness, self-expression, maybe you don't feel like you're connected to something bigger, maybe you don't feel secure in the area that you're living in or your family or whatever it might be, what mantras can you create and can you embody and can you feel to then step into a new space and to get energy working in those areas to then unlock the next stage of your life or the next adventure that you're going on. So this session was super interesting. And like I said, right afterwards, it threw me into a whole upgrade, which turned into a whole getting a fever and getting sick and then moving through some things that I'm pretty sure, if I think about it, we're 100% tied to this session, because I'm like, okay, you tell me my sacral area is the one that needs to be worked on. All of a sudden, I'm starting to have sacral area issues to move through the next couple days. Feels like a detox. I don't know if that's like too much conspiracy, but that's what I felt and that's what I saw. So really cool thing to explore and think about. And especially, like I said, if there's certain things that you're bumping into where you're like, man, I've tried all the things. I read all the books. I know all the processes. I've thought really hard about it. So much of this isn't as much about thinking as it is about feeling and embodying a certain feeling to move you into a different state, into a different reality. Because that's the whole point of this, is how do you jump into a different reality and match that state so that you can match it and be there. So when thinking about balancing these centers and moving energy through it, I of course started doing extra research, looking into it further, trying to figure out, okay, what else can I learn about this? Because this feels really profound in a space that I've not explored. And then realizing how easy it is to work with these centers and move it through mantras, through feelings, yoga, different kinds of yoga. You can look up Kundalini yoga. This is definitely going to support that when you start learning what the whole point of Kundalini yoga is, which I did not even know. I'd be in these classes and I'd be like, wait, why do you want me to pull this area up? What are you trying to get me to do? Now I'm like, oh, okay, had I known this first, it would have made more sense and I would have had more intention behind those classes. But realizing it's not hard to try. And that's the kind of things that I like, where I'm like, if you've tried everything else and things are still feeling like they used to feel and they're still feeling like stuck and you don't know why not? Feel into it and think through what could some mantras be, or look them up online. Go to ChatGPT, and it's pretty easy to say, here's some areas that I think need some activation, some chakras that need activation. Give me some well-founded mantras that come from different teachers, spiritual teachers, yoga teachers. Like, what kind of mantras would they recommend for me to say morning and night every single day? Simple as that. But I think when looking into this, the biggest thing that I also thought about is that how everything that every person is working through, whether it be crown chakra, root chakra, sacral, like me, like anything that's being worked through, it's all meant to be here. It's all meant to be experienced. It's all meant to be explored if you want to. And that was something that a great example came up in this other book that I was reading that was essentially around the same stuff. It was around chakra healing, and it was around how certain areas can get blocked because of different experiences and what people go through. And this author, which I will link up the book that I read and the author, she talks about this idea of this cosmic bus stop. When people, before you ever come into the earth, before you ever come to this planet, there's all these spirits, imagine them in this cosmic bus stop. And they're all there meeting and talking, and they're like, hey, what are you doing on this next lifetime? Like, what are you looking to learn? So people are coming here to learn and become whole and have different experiences to get them there. So she talks about this concept of this cosmic bus stop where all these spirits are up there and asking, like, what are you here? What are you here for? And one of them says, I'm really this time looking to get the hang of forgiveness. I really want to learn forgiveness this time. I've tried it in multiple lifetimes and I feel like I just can't crack the code. And so one of the other spirits says, okay, well, what kind of experience might you need for that then? Like, what does that look like, a 10 out of 10 experience? And they're like, well, I think maybe I'd have to be driving in the car and get hit maybe by a drunk driver and maybe, get hurt in it. And the other spirit's like, well, is that a 10 out of 10 experience? Is that really going to, have you really practiced true forgiveness? And they're like, no, I think maybe like my family member might have to die in that car too. And there might have to be something with this bus driver that even makes it more amplified with emotions. That would probably be a 10 out of 10 experience for me, really to practice forgiveness. Now, they ask who can be the bus driver, like who will sign up to be the bus driver and help me experience this growth. And of course, none of the spirits want to step up. They're like, oh man, this sounds pretty tough. And they're like, come on, I need someone to play these parts. I need someone to play these parts so I can have this experience. I want to be able to learn this and fully embody forgiveness. But I've done this many times. I need a big experience. So finally one steps up and says, okay, I'll be the bus driver. Another one, I'll be your family member who, doesn't make it. And this story to me really made me realize how every experience that we're in, we are choosing. We're choosing those experiences. We're setting ourselves up to be able to learn the thing that we need to learn. And we're having little experiences. They're like breadcrumbs that we're dropping throughout our life to be able to help us remember of what we're here to do, what lesson we're here to learn, or maybe many lessons. And so when I saw this concept and thought about it, I'm like, it's really hard to ever think that anything is happening to me. It's really hard to be in a victim mindset, knowing that what if every experience that we have, we chose at a higher level. So I chose to have my company almost go bankrupt. I chose to, get divorced while I was pregnant. I chose to go through all these different traumas that at one point in my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, why does this keep happening? Now looking back on them, like going through those experiences and looking back, I needed every single one of those. And what if it was me that gave myself those experiences to have to really test myself on forgiveness, on resiliency, like really seeing like how resilient can you be? How much can you come back to love no matter what happens? Like, can you still come back to love and forgiveness? And so I thought this story was super beautiful, and it really gave me a great visual of, what if everything happening around us all the time was to give us the experiences we need to become whole again, to remember why we came here, to remember the assignment that we gave ourselves. So this is definitely getting pretty deep, but I think the visual, like if that doesn't get me out of a victim mindset, I don't know what will. And it gets back to, what are you working on? Which areas of your life are you working on? And then which areas of the body are maybe showing up as a symptom that, hey, maybe something's a little off here. And symptoms, like I said, could be psychological or literally physical ones. Many people who do different energy healings all around the world, they're working on actual physical problems that people are having and healing them from that. So super interesting concept. I wanted to bring it here to you today because I feel like if more people thought in this way, it could help really move people through life in much more of a flow and not feeling like you're so stuck at certain time periods and not getting caught up in certain circumstances, but knowing there is a modality and a way to work through something. Everything can be worked through if you can tap into what's happening in your body, tap into the feelings, and then look around at your life and see, okay, what's coming up for me right now? Like what's happening that I get to, take full responsibility for and look into and feel into. And what if it was all orchestrated by me? So with that, look up some of those mantras that tie to different areas of the chakras. Think about which areas you might resonate with. You're like, I want to look into this area. I want to look into my root chakra. I feel very ungrounded. I feel like where I'm living just feels a little shaky, or I don't feel safe in the space that I'm at. Look into that. Look up some mantras. We can also list a few in our show notes as well, depending on which chakra, and a couple mantras that could just be general ones. And then look into how are you matching those mantras with your emotions. Are you embodying them? Are you feeling them in your body as you're saying them? Are you thinking about yourself in that future state, picturing yourself, or it's just like, of course that's going to happen. Of course, when I say it, that's going to happen. I can visualize myself there. So are you energetically putting yourself in that position where it will become a reality? So mantras, emotions, and then a couple yoga practices, merge them together. Like I said, use ChatGPT, let it be your guide, let it kind of show you what could help and work. But give it a try, because for me, I definitely already can see just from that one session going through my upgrade and now looking at life in a pretty different way when it comes to this specific area around my past that feels like it was limiting me. And I'm glad to have looked into it, and definitely will give an update in another couple months on more things that I try and how it's going. So with that, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.